So let's begin by offering our respects to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Okay, so what did we see in the previous class? Which chapter are we doing?
Chapter 3. Chapter 3.
Yes, chapter 3. And we finished 24 shlokas. We finished 4 sections of this chapter. What did we see in the previous class?
Even the section 4 of Nishkam Karma.
Yes, Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Krishna spoke about how we owe certain categories of people, yes. And the previous class we saw if there is any exception to this rule. Are there any exceptions to this rule?
The self-realized souls.
Yes, a self-realized person does not have to, or rather does not owe anything to anybody. Okay? Because he is serving the Supreme Lord and everybody else are his servants. So when we serve the whole, there is no need to serve the parts individually, right? It's like we are watering the root of the plant. Okay. But still, although a transcendentalist does not owe anything to anybody, Krishna says you still do your prescribed duties because
so that he can be an example.
Yes, so that he can set an example to the others. Because Krishna said, whatever a great man does, the common people follow. And then he gave 2 examples of people who did not have to do their prescribed duties, but they still do it. Who are they? Those 2 people he mentioned.
King Janaka.
King Janaka, yes. One was King Janaka and the other one?
Krishna himself.
Krishna himself, yes. He gave himself as an example. So before we begin today's class, let's see this slide. This is a famous dialogue from a Bollywood movie which says, कहते हैं अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उससे तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है. What does that mean? If you desire something, huh? You can translate this?
No, I was from Om Shanti Home.
You know the name of the movie also. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. So what does this mean? This means that if you desire something from the core of your heart, then the puri kainat, the entire material nature or the material setup, I don't know how to really translate kainat, but material nature would come together and would would somehow or the other
Collaborate.
collaborate
To get to there.
collaborate and give that product to you, give it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is this true or is this false? Do you agree with this statement or no? Let's take a poll for that. Okay. 1 second.
I think I believe in this also.
Okay. 1 second. Oh, I didn't add the poll to slot 2. I'm so sorry. I got confused. I only added in slot 1. Okay, doesn't matter. So we just ask each person individually. How many of you agree to this statement?
We can write
Yeah, you can write
answers in the chat.
You can write it in the chat box. If you agree, say yes. If you don't agree, write no. Okay, has everybody answered? What about Aditya, Varun? Okay, Varun, Devina, Shraddha, Harman, Anjali, Mahek. All of you agree.
Sir? Yeah. I'm
So the
curious
only
to know
one
about
who
Komal.
says,
Why Komal doesn't agree.
so the only one who does not agree is Komal.
Who doesn't
Komal,
agree, I
can you
believe,
give
is
your
Komal.
reason?
And I'm curious.
Because one can really want something, but if it's just not the right time for you, I mean, one can work towards it, and maybe of the work you're doing. So I might want gold, money, cars, like really want it, but that doesn't mean that the universe will work towards it. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I wrong. I don't know, but I don't agree with it. It might not be the right time for me. Maybe not in this life, maybe in the next one. But that doesn't mean I won't follow my dharma and karma. It's just that it was not meant to be for this life.
Okay, fine. So we'll see how Krishna answers this question in today's class. So we'll put that thought on hold for now. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So today's section is our section 5. We have 5, 6, and 7 more to go to finish this chapter. So we'll see how far we can go today. Here, Krishna is talking about the difference between karma yoga and karma kanda. So as we have discussed before, karma kanda means activities which we do for our own sense gratification. There is no concept of wanting or desiring to please the Lord in karma kanda, but we are doing it under the shelter of Shastra, so it's not sinful, right? But when the word yoga comes in, that means we are bringing in the aspect of the Lord somewhere or the other, to whatever extent one may desire. There is some desire to please the Lord. So that's why the word yoga. Yoga means we are bringing in the Lord in our activities. Karma yoga. So what is the difference between karma yoga and karma kanda? Krishna is delineating in this section 5. Okay, do we have Aditya and Varun with us, our transcendental brothers? Would you like to read today, Aditya and Varun?
Sure. Varun, do you want to? Varun?
Yeah.
Do you want to read?
Sure.
Okay, so who's going to read the translations and who's going to read the other text?
I'll read the translations.
I can read the other text.
So Varun is reading the translations. Remember, we need to go a little slow because then I don't understand. Okay. Thank you. Okay, 3.25. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om
Bhagavate.
Namo
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, let's see verse 25.
सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वांस तथा सक्तः चिकीर्षु लोकसङ्ग्रहम्.
As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path.
Okay, so here Krishna is giving us a difference between avidvamso and vidvams. Vidvams means knowledge when one acts in knowledge, and avidvamso when one acts in ignorance. So acting as in ignorance, avidvamso is shaktaha. He says being attached. And how does a vidvams act? He acts ashakta, so he is detached. So an ignorant man performs duties with attachment, with shaktaha, and the learned man, a vidvams, he performs his duties but without attachment. And why he does it? For the sake of leading people on the right path, which Krishna has also previously said. So here he is making a difference, right? How externally both activities may seem the same, but there is a difference in the consciousness of the person who's carrying out the activities. Previously, we discussed how prasad means mercy, and how Krishna says that one who does not offer to the Lord, then that person is eating only sin. So for an outsider, an external person, let's say there are two friends, okay, and one lady has prepared some sweets and has sent it to her friend, and this other friend has emptied the contents of the container, and now she has prepared some savories and she has filled it with some savories and sent it back to the to her friend, right, the first person. So for a person who's looking at it from the outside, an outsider will think that what is happening? From one house to the other house, a box has gone, and now again the same box has come out. He cannot see that the contents of the box has changed, right? For him it's the same thing, but the person who has sent it and the person who has received it, they know that what went in is not the same that has come out. The contents have changed, although externally the box is the same. So when we offer it to the Lord, we are offering our love, our gratitude to the Lord, and what comes back is prasad, is the Lord's mercy. So we are offering bhoga, right? And although it may appear on the plate that the food is the same, I have offered, let's say, 3 samosas and 2 kachoris. It's the same food, it's the same quantity, and I just take it back. So then what has changed? It's not the same thing. For an outsider or for an ignorant person, it may appear to be the same, but it is not the same. Now it has transformed into prasad. So there is a difference in the consciousness. Okay, 26.
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, the learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
So Krishna is saying, you don't disturb the minds of people, the minds of ignorant people who are attached to fruitive results. So this verse is for those who are preaching, especially. The preacher, he should not disrupt the minds of ignorant people. So when somebody is trying to preach and they come across people who are in the mode of ignorance, right, and they try to give them some knowledge, or they try to bring them to Krishna consciousness, try so that they take to spirituality, But then what Krishna is saying, that you should not disturb the minds of ignorant people who are attached to fruitive results. You should not induce them to stop work. Rather, you should engage them in all sorts of activities. So let's say somebody is very passionate about music, or somebody loves to dance, right? We should not tell the person that, oh, what are you doing? What's the use of this music? What is the use of this dance? These are all materialistic activities. This will not take you to Krishna. No, that's not how a preacher preaches. A preacher should try to dovetail that activity in Krishna consciousness. Somebody is passionate about music. Oh, yes, great. Why don't you lead a kirtan in the temple? Somebody loves to dance. Why don't you dance on Janmashtami? So whatever a person likes to do, there is no need for us to tell them to stop work, but we have to dovetail that activity in Krishna consciousness. So that way there will be a gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So here are some quotes from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Let's read them. Are you there? Who was it? Aditya?
Yes, yeah. Isn't it Aditya?
Yes, these are other texts. These are not translations.
Oh, okay. Standards are for inspiration, not condemnation.
So one who's preaching or one who's already in Krishna consciousness, he may have a certain standard, right? But then that doesn't mean that my standards that I have, that is for condemning somebody else. If we find someone who's lower than a certain standard that we are following, we should not condemn that person. We have to inspire them by our standards instead. Let's go.
Break people's misconceptions. Don't break people.
Yes, if we push people too hard, then they will break, in the sense that they will stop coming to the temple. They will run away from us, right? They would not want to associate with us. So we don't have to break people. We need to break their misconceptions by knowledge. Next. Aditya?
Aditya, you're unmuted. I don't know.
Okay, sorry, I got kicked out from the meeting. I don't know. Don't be so concerned about others' future destination as to be cut off from their present emotion.
So because everybody has a certain nature, right? They are emotional about certain things. They are passionate about certain things. And we should not cut them off from what they are passionate about, thinking that, no, we are concerned about their future. In the future, we want them to reach Goloka, Vaikuntha. So we should not override their current passions. Instead, use it in the service of Krishna. Dovetail it in the service of the Lord. Next.
Okay. Spiritual success depends on stamina, not speed.
Yes, this also applies to us. No, sometimes we try to do too many things very fast. We want to, we are very enthusiastic to advance in our spiritual life. And but then what happens over a period of time, we cannot sustain it, right? So spiritual success depends on stamina. If we water a plant too much one day out of passion, but then after that we are not able to do it continuously, and then there are many days when we do not water the plant, and then again we water the plant a lot, is the plant going to grow very nicely? No, we have to water regularly at regular intervals, right? So what we need for success in our spiritual life is stamina, not speed. Next.
Know when to give others space and when to give them pace.
Yes. So there may be some people who are very ready to take to spirituality, right? Because they are carrying on in this life from where they left off in the previous life. So that's why a preacher will always come across people whom they preach to a little bit and they are already devotees. In fact, they may go higher than them in their spiritual life. Okay. And there are some others whom you have to drag and convince and drag them for so many years, and still there is no progress. For many, many years, they will be caught at the same level because they were at a lower level in their spiritual life in the previous lifetime. So somebody who was at 90% the previous lifetime, in this lifetime, just a little bit of scratching and they are ready. Okay, they are progressing very nicely. But somebody may be just at 5%. In this lifetime, they carry on at 6%. So for them, it takes a lot more effort. So we need to know when to give space and when to give pace. Some people you can preach and uplift them very quickly. Some others will take more time. So a preacher has to use his intelligence and be able to see.
If people don't walk in, don't slam the door on their face.
Yes. So some people may not be able to take to Krishna consciousness so quickly. So if we have to be more compassionate and patient and not slam the door on their face, in the sense that not, just don't give up on them or reject them. There was this class that I was listening to, and the speaker was giving an example as to how if there is a piece of wet cloth that has fallen on a bunch of rose plants, and these rose plants have thorns, right? And the cloth is wet. So if we go and try to lift the cloth immediately, because the cloth is caught in those thorns, and we quickly try to lift the cloth will tear. But on the other side, if the cloth has fallen on a flat piece of a flat place on the ground level, then you can immediately lift the cloth. So how we uplift people depends on where they are currently situated. If they're situated on those plants, then we have to slowly try to lift it. But if they're on a flat ground, then we can quickly lift them. It's not the same. It's not the one size fits all philosophy here. Okay, 3.27.
प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते.
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature.
So see what Krishna is saying, very important. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities. So one who thinks that he is the doer of activities, Krishna says, he is bewildered by the influence of false ego. Krishna uses the words ahankara vimudhatma. So a person who thinks that he is the doer of activities, he is ahankara vimudhatma, Krishna says, that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So in actuality, those activities are carried out by material nature. It's not carried out by the spirit soul. One who thinks that he is the doer, he is a ahankara vimudhatma, Krishna says. So now, what do you think?
Question.
What?
Previous question. Here, ahankara means vimura means bewildered by false ego, but ahankara means anger. No.
No, ahankara means false ego. The word ahankara is used when we see somebody who's very proud, we say he's ahankari. So when a person is proud, that is false ego.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now is Shah Rukh Khan saying the same thing that Krishna said? Those who agree to Shah Rukh Khan's statement, is it in tune with what Krishna says in 3.27?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, what is Shah Rukh Khan saying here? If I desire something, then material nature will come together to give it to me. And here Krishna is saying that the spirit soul who thinks that he is the doer, he is ahankara vimudhatma. Just
no, so I don't agree. I don't agree. I stay to my initial statement.
Okay, Komal sticks to her initial statement. Anybody else wants to change their answers? Try to analyze what Krishna is saying. in this dialogue, who is the doer?
Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, because he's saying, I desire it, and because I desire it, then material nature is going to provide it to me. So he's saying that he is the doer. But here, Krishna is saying, one who thinks himself to be the doer, he is ahankara vimudatma. When actually it is carried out by the modes of material nature. So actually, this statement is very attractive to hear. Yes, but it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And this is how many preachers, okay, those who don't belong to disciplic succession, sometimes they give very attractive speeches, which sounds very nice, very, very attractive, right? Aha, what a dialogue, what a class it was, excellent, fantastic. But if you go to analyze it, actually it will not make sense. It will not make sense. So let's see here, there are three things that we have to consider. There is a living entity, there is a material nature, and there is a super soul, or the Lord, or the Paramatma. Okay. The living entity desires. Okay, Karnani, you have raised your hand. You have a
Yeah,
question.
Mataji, when we are saying he's desiring, it's his desire. Didn't we talk about the three things like a person who, there are three aspects at one, I don't remember which class it was in, where you said it is the grace, divine grace, the karma, and the time, the kala. These are the three factors you
Correct.
said. So
Yes.
a human being can desire things. Of
Yes.
course, he's doing his part, he's doing his karma there, and
Yes.
rest depends on his grace and the time factor, which I agree with Komal when she said it may not happen according to the time factor you want. So in this case, this guy is just desiring something and he believes or he has that faith that the universe or the Almighty is going to provide him with whatever is there.
Yeah.
So how
So
does
that,
it go with?
no, so that's what it doesn't go with it. That's what I'm saying. It does not go with it. Shah Rukh Khan's statement does not go with it. Because what Shah Rukh Khan is saying that if I desire, then material nature will give it to me. But the point is, material nature may or may not provide it. Just because I desire something, it doesn't mean that I will get it. Because as you said, it depends on those other factors. That's exactly what we are saying, that it's not in tune. Okay.
Okay,
So there are
understood.
three factors here: living entity, material nature, and super soul. Living entity desires, okay, but he may or may not get it. That depends on whether his karma allows it or no. If it is in his karma, only then he is going to receive it. If it is not in his karma, no matter how much he desires it, he is not going to get it. He will not get it. So it has to be in his karma. So material nature facilitates depending on whether it's there in the karma of the person or no. Now let's say somebody has desired, let's say a devotee has a very sincere desire. He is living in a small apartment, but he has a desire that if I live in a bigger apartment, then I will be able to hold a preaching program, invite some 30, 40 people in my house, distribute prasad to them, and we can together have a nice kirtan and I can do a nice preaching program. But it is not in his karma to get a bigger apartment. Now, what happens? If he is sincere, then is there anything that can supersede karma? Can we change the karma?
Yes, Krishna can approve it.
Yes, Krishna can give us something that is not in our karma, and he can also not give us something that is there in our karma. Okay, because beyond the material nature is the Paramatma who sanctions. So let's say I desire a house, right? If it's in my karma, I will get it. If it is not in my karma, I don't get it. But if I desire a house, if I have a sincere spiritual desire as a devotee that I want to have a bigger house so that I can do a preaching program, okay, then the Lord can sanction it. Even if it is not in my karma, he can give it to me, because we cannot put the Lord in a in a mathematical or chemical equation, this plus this should be equal to this, or this plus this should give me this. The Lord does not have to do anything. He is completely independent. He is completely Swarat. So he can override the laws of karma and sanction something. And on the other side, if I deserve something, but if that is not good for my spiritual life, and I have surrendered to Krishna, and there is something that I can get in my karma, okay, it's in my karma, but it's not good for my spiritual life, then Krishna will decide not to give it to me, even though according to law of karma, I should get it. Let's say there is this person, in his karma, it's written that he will get married to an extremely beautiful wife. Okay. But now he's a devotee. He has surrendered to the Lord. And that wife who will come in is not good for his Krishna consciousness, because she is not going to support him in his spiritual life. So because although it is there in the karma of that person to get married to a very, very beautiful, attractive wife, because it's not good for his Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will decide not to give it to him. So Krishna can override even the law of karma. So living entity, he is under the law of attraction. What is it that attracts him? Material nature will facilitate, but the material nature will facilitate only according to what the law of karma decides, right? If it's there in his karma or it is not there in his karma. But the Paramatma, there is the law of love. Higher than the law of karma is the law of love. So the Paramatma or the Lord can override even the law of karma. That's why if somebody has committed a grievous offense in the past life, and in this life, his karma is that his leg should be cut. But because he has surrendered to the Lord, then maybe the Lord will help him escape with just a small scratch in the leg. Okay, so that is the potency of taking the shelter of the Lord. So who is the doer? All three are the doers. The living entity is one of the doers. He is not the only doer. One who thinks that he is the only doer, he is ahankara vimudatma, Krishna says. He is one of the three doers. Now, just because the Paramatma has sanctioned everything, if somebody has committed a sinful activity, let's say somebody has killed or murdered another person, he cannot say that, oh, I did not kill, the Lord only killed. God made me kill that person. This is a fact. Criminals have said it. Even in the US, I was reading on the internet how there was this criminal who committed a murder, and in the court of law, he says that God made me kill. So just because a Paramatma is the one who's sanctioning, it doesn't mean that he is responsible for our sinful activities. We are the responsibility, we have to take the responsibility because we were the ones who desired it. The Lord does not interfere with our free will. Okay, because if there is no free will, then we are going to be like robots. Because we have minute independence, we use that minute independence to make our everyday, day-to-day decisions. The Paramatma is only sanctioning it. For example, if I have the urge to smoke a cigarette, how does the material nature facilitate? Facilitates by having, okay, there are shops outside, they are available, they are selling the product. So that facility is provided by material nature. I can go and purchase it across the counter in a shop. And the government is the sanction of the land, the law of the land, right? The government of the country has sanctioned the sale of cigarettes in the country. That is why the person, that shopkeeper is selling the cigarettes. If the law does not sanction it, that shopkeeper will not sell it and the living entity will not get to smoke those cigarettes. But let's say this person who is smoking the cigarettes later goes on to have some disease because of his chain smoking. Now he has a disease. Can he go and what do you call it? Can he go and blame the shopkeeper for his health condition, saying that you sold it, that is why I have lost my health, now you have to pay my hospital bills? Or is he going to go and sue the government, saying that why did you sanction the sale of cigarettes? Because you sanctioned the sale of cigarettes only, now today my health is deteriorating. He cannot do that because he took the decision to smoke. It is up to him to smoke or not to smoke. So we have to understand that all three are the doers. We are not the only doers. There are great people, there are rich people, the Tatas and the Birlas. You think that they have become what they have become because of their hard work? Maybe they did hard work, yes, fine. But there are many people who are working even harder than them, but they never come out of even the slum area. They cannot even come out of Dharavi. They are working harder than the Tatas and the Birlas. They are not getting it. Why? Because it is not there in their karma. And there are many successful people who say that, oh, I got this success, but it was just by chance. I was not looking to make a career in the film industry. This movie just came my way. It was just by chance that I got it. And today that person has a successful career in Bollywood or Hollywood, right? So sometimes a person does not even desire it, but he gets all success. Why? Because it is there in his karma. Is it okay? So you can see here a picture of how the living entity is under the laws of material nature, but beyond the laws of material nature is the Supreme Lord. So all three are the doers. We are not the only doers. Let's go to 28.
तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुणकर्म विभागयोः गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्त इति मत्वा न सज्जते.
One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work and devotion and work for.
So here again, Krishna is saying, one who is in knowledge of the absolute transcendentalist, he does not engage himself in sense gratification because he very well knows the difference between working in devotion and working for fruitive results. Which of the two is higher, working in devotion or working for fruitive results?
In devotion.
Yes, working in devotion is far higher than working for fruitive results. 29.
प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढाः सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् कृत्स्नविदो मन्दान् कृत्स्नभिन्न विचालये.
Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to performers' lack of knowledge.
So see, again, Krishna is saying that those who are bewildered, they engage themselves in materialistic activities and they have become attached. And one who is unattached, those who are wise, they should not unsettle them. We should not disturb them, although their duties are inferior. So we should not disturb those people who are not interested. Okay. But Prabhupada makes a very, very interesting comment in the purport. Let's read this purport.
Aditya? Now advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men, to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being.
So although Krishna is saying that one who is in knowledge should not disturb a person who is engaged in materialistic activities, Prabhupada, he writes in the purport that a devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord, and he understands the purpose of the Lord. What is the purpose of the Lord? Does the Lord want us back in the spiritual world? Does the Lord want us back with him? Yes or no? Does the Lord want us back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely he wants us back. So then why is Krishna saying that don't disturb them if they are engaged in materialistic activities? Because Krishna doesn't want us back at the cost of our treatment. Now, what do you mean by this? When somebody is sick, let's say somebody in our family is not well and is undergoing treatment in the hospital. Now, of course, we want our loved ones back home. Yes, but we don't want them back home at the cost of the treatment. We want them to undergo the right kind of treatment in the hospital. And when they are fine and when they are out of danger, only we want them back to our houses. So Krishna wants us back, but not at the cost of our treatment. We are all undergoing treatment because we are all materially diseased, because we have the disease of attachment. Therefore, we are undergoing treatment in this hospital of this material world. And he wants us back, yes, but not at the cost of our treatment. We have to undergo the treatment. So this is the mood of Krishna. But what is the devotee? The devotee understands what is the purpose of the Lord, and he is more merciful than the Lord. Therefore, he will take some risk, and still he will approach the ignorant men to somehow or the other engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness. Can you think of examples where the devotees of the Lord were more merciful than the Lord? Real life examples from our Shastras. Can you think of such examples?
Jagai and Madai.
Jagai and Madai, yes, very nice. Jagai and Madai. Okay, let's see the story of Jagai and Madai. Jagai and Madai were two drunkards. They were born in a Brahmana family in Navadvip, and their names were actually Jagadananda and Madhavananda. But because of their sinful activities, people call them Jagai and Madai, right? And they, the description given is that every possible sin that they could do, they had engaged in. There was no sin that they did not engage in. So they were murdering, eating meat, drinking, and gambling, and doing all kinds of nonsense. They would even attack people, and everybody would maintain a distance from them. Nobody would like to associate with these two people. They were such mischief makers. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given an instruction to Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. We know Haridas Thakur is our Nama Acharya, and Nityananda Prabhu is an expansion of Balaram. So Lord Chaitanya had given an instruction to Nityananda and Haridas Thakur to go door to door and preach and request each person to chant the holy name. So this is what Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Prabhu would do. They would go throughout the day and they would approach many people and personally request them, please chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And during one of their outings, they come across Jagai and Madai and they approach them to chant the holy name. But then they were so angry. You know, when you tell a very sinful person to chant, immediately they feel offended. They're like, you're telling us to chant me? I'm not that kind of a person. So with that attitude, you know, they were very angry and they chased Nityananda and Haridas Thakur and they had to run for their lives. And finally, Jagai and Madai, they gave up the chase. Okay. And Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas, they were safe. And at the end of the day, when they submitted their report, because they would tell Lord Chaitanya that, okay, today we came across so many people. So they would submit their report to Lord Chaitanya at the end of the day. And when they reported this to Lord Chaitanya, let's see what Lord Chaitanya told. Let's read this. Let's read slowly.
Aditya.
Oh. Nityananda said, you may cut them to pieces, but
No,
I will not move.
wait, hold on. You didn't read the first paragraph.
Wait, yeah, I did.
We couldn't
Okay,
hear you.
I'll read it again. Sri Chaitanya answered, I will show these two rogues. I will cut them to pieces if they come in front of me. And sweetly, Nityananda said, you may cut them to pieces, but I will not move from there. If they're not alive, how will I be able to carry out your mission? Why are you getting so angry with them? Allow me to first make them chant Sri Krishna's name. If you deliver them and bring them into devotional service, then your fame as Patita Pavana, deliverer of the fallen, will reach unlimited bounds. Laughing, Vishvambara said, they are already liberated. As soon as these two rogues saw you, they were delivered. As you are so concerned about their welfare, Krishna will soon take full care of them.
So what Lord Chaitanya wanted to do immediately when he heard how Jagai and Madai had behaved with Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, immediately he wanted to cut them to pieces. But what Nityananda said, no, no, why do you, if you want to, you may cut them, but I will not move from there. So he's going to come in the way if Lord Chaitanya wants to kill them. So Nityananda Prabhu does not want that they are killed. What does he want? He says, somehow or the other, first let me make them chant Sri Krishna's name. And he says, what does he say? If you deliver them and bring them to devotional service, then your fame as Patita Pavana will increase even more. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called as Patita Pavana. He's the deliverer of the most fallen, right? Why? Because he's the one who opened up this Hare Krishna mantra. So he's called as Patita Pavana. So Nityananda Prabhu is saying that if you can deliver them also, such nonsensical people who are doing so much of sinful activities, if you can deliver them, then your fame as Patita Pavana will grow even more. So that's the mood of a devotee. The devotee always wants that the Lord is glorified. And what does the Lord want? The Lord always wants that his devotees are glorified. So this is a loving exchange between a devotee and the Lord. And see what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says later. He says that they are already liberated as soon as those two rogues saw you. As soon as Lord Nityananda saw them, or they saw Lord Nityananda, they were delivered. How come? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains. As you are so concerned about their welfare, Krishna will very soon take full care of them. So the Lord will definitely sanction the desire of his devotee. So because Nityananda Prabhu wants their welfare, Krishna will take care of them. So the Lord wants to fulfill the desire of his devotee, and the desire of the devotee is what? That this Jagai and Madai are delivered, right? So this is how the Lord will sanction what the devotee wants, and what the devotee wants, the devotee understands what is the mood of the Lord, and therefore he wants to deliver as many people as possible. Okay, so let's see what happens next in the story. So after this incident, again a few days later, they come across again Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they come across Jagai and Madai, and Madai takes a broken earth pot and he attacks Lord Nityananda. He hits him on the head, and now Nityananda Prabhu is bleeding, right? Blood is oozing from his forehead. And he goes to Madai, wants to attack him again, but Jagai prevents Madai from attacking Nityananda Prabhu for a second time. Okay. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is informed about what has happened, and he rushes to the spot. And Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya is so ferocious. He's so angry when he sees that his devotee has been attacked and he sees his devotee is bleeding. He immediately invokes the Sudarshan Chakra. Actually, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is a merciful avatar. In this avatar, he does not use any weapons to kill anyone. Okay, but when he sees his devotee being attacked, then he immediately invokes his Sudarshan Chakra and immediately wants to kill Jagai and Madai. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu comes in the way and he tells him that no, actually Jagai came in the way and he prevented Madai from attacking me even further. Then immediately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he embraces Jagai and he says, I'm very pleased that you have done, you have acted in favor of my devotee, and I'm very, very happy with you. And then what Jagai does, immediately he takes Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet and he keeps it on his chest. And then Jagai sees the four-handed Narayan form in Lord Chaitanya. You can see this in the picture. He sees the four-handed Narayan form. And then Madai, he sees all this happening in front of him. He sees how Jagai has received the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And now he says that even I want this mercy. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in no mood to forgive Madai. He is in no mood to forgive Madai, and he says that no, you have offended my devotee and you have to take the shelter of his lotus feet. And then Madai asks forgiveness from Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda also embraces him, and then eventually both Jagai and Madai, they get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So in this case, we can see how the devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to kill them, but Lord Nityananda Prabhu wanted that they are delivered. Let's read this text. Are you there?
Aditya, I know, I was just from the words about Jagai checking, Madai entered Sri Chaitanya's hearing. He became very pleased and he went up to Jagai and embraced him. He said, "On over me by protecting my Nityananda. You can ask for anything you very much desire. I shall grant you the boon. And from today, you may be firmly situated in a pure devotional life, experiencing Krishna Prem." The Vaishnavas became joyous, appreciating Sri Chaitanya's blessings on Jagai with loud cries. Experiencing Krishna Prem. No, wait. When Jagai heard Chaitanya's blessing him with Krishna Prem, he fell unconscious with ecstasy. Jagai, rise up and see. I have really blessed you with the Krishna Prem. Jagai then saw Lord Chaitanya in his forehand manifestation holding the club, conch, disc, and lotus. Jagai then placed Sri Chaitanya's lotus feet upon his chest. He caught them very tightly as his most treasured object. Being purified of his sins, he wept like a
Okay, so we already
child.
discussed how Madai, after this, even he got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Now, what follows is that Yamaraj is having a conversation with his, what do you call it, his secretary maybe, the one who keeps accounts of one's activities. What's his name?
Chitragupta.
Chitragupta.
Yes, Chitragupta. So Chitragupta describes that how it is difficult for them to keep track of the sinful activities of Jagai and Madai because they were so sinful, they were doing so much nonsense that even a bottomless pit was filled with all their with the records of all their activities, and they are having a tough time keeping track of their activities. So they were so grossly sinful, this Jagai and Madai. And then Yamaraj comes to know that all those activities, everything now has been burnt, everything has been done away with, the slate has been wiped clean. And when Yamaraj realizes the potency of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, how Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he has delivered even such nonsensical, such people who are doing such great sinful activities, even their sinful activities, everything has been wiped clean. When Yamaraj hears of this, he faints in ecstasy. He has lost his external consciousness and he faints. And then Narada Muni, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, and other demigods, they have gathered there and they have performed the Sankirtan. And hearing that Sankirtan, Yamaraj has come back to his external consciousness. So even the demigods, they are also doing Harinam Sankirtan. This story is described in great detail in a book called Chaitanya Bhagawad. The PDF is available online, Chaitanya Bhagawad by Vrindavan Das Thakur. You can download it and you can read it. It's in the Madhya Leela if you like. You can go and read it in great detail. So anyway, there are more devotees, more stories where the devotee is more merciful than the Lord. One is Prahlad. Narsimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was torturing Prahlad, so he killed him. Now, what did Prahlad ask when Narsimhadev told Prahlad that I would like to have you can ask for whatever you want? What did Prahlad ask for?
He asked for forgiveness of his dad. For forgiveness of his father. Yeah.
Yes, he asked that his father is forgiven, or rather, he wanted that his father is delivered, isn't it? So he says that I just want that my father is delivered. And then what did Narsimhadev say? Did he fulfill his desire or no?
He said 7 generations after he'll be delivered.
How many?
7 generations.
7 generations. Okay. Anybody else has any other answer? Okay, so I have read in the Bhagavatam, there are 2 places. One place it says 14 and other place it says 21. So he says 14 or 21 generations before you and even after you, all of them will be delivered. Another important lesson we learn from this is the more we advance in our spiritual life, to that extent, we benefit the generations before us and after us. So there may be a pure devotee, Although the parents may not be devotees, because one is a pure devotee, he can deliver even his parents or the generations before him to the extent to which one is advancing. Another example, can you identify the personalities on the screen?
Wait, isn't Durvasa Muni begging for forgiveness on Ambarish Maharaj?
Yes, that's right. That's Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. Do you know the story? Can you narrate it?
So yeah, there was this time where Ambarish Maharaj he was fasting, but he had to break the fast, and Durvasa Muni he went to take a bath. So then Ambarish Maharaj he took a sip of water, and then when Durvasa Muni saw that since he's so short tempered, he got like infuriated, and then with a pluck of his hair he summoned this like huge demon who was supposed to kill Ambarish Maharaj, but Ambarish Maharaj he prayed to Krishna, and then Krishna released his Sudarshan chakra, which killed the demon, and then started chasing after Durvasa Muni. And then he ran to Lord Brahma, he ran to Lord Shiva. All of them said, go to Lord Vishnu. So he went to Vaikuntha. And then Lord Vishnu said, the only way I can get rid of this is the only way you can get rid of this is begging for forgiveness at Ambarish Maharaj. So then Durvasa Muni he rushed back, and he begged for forgiveness, and Ambarish Maharaj forgave him.
Yes, very nice, Varun. Thank you. So because Durvasa had offended Maharaj Ambarish, who was a pure devotee, the Sudarshan Chakra appeared and wanted to kill him. Now Durvasa has gone to Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and none of them could help him. Lord Vishnu said that if you want to get rid of the Sudarshan Chakra, if you want to save your life, you go back and ask forgiveness from King Ambarish, whom you have offended. And did Ambarish forgive him? Immediately, because he is a devotee, immediately he forgave Durvasa. So here another example where the devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. The story we have already seen, even Jesus Christ. What was Jesus Christ saying when he was being crucified?
Please forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. So somebody, he's ready to forgive those people who have so mercilessly crucified him. They have nailed him to the cross and they have tortured him so much, but still he's praying that they should be forgiven. And of course, our Srila Prabhupada, he went through so many difficulties. This is an early picture when he was all alone on the streets of New York, battling the cold winter, right? And he also underwent so many difficulties because he wanted to spread the mercy of Krishna in the West. So a devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. So there are two levels of advancement that are given in the Shastras. One is a gradual method and one is a rapid method. Rapid method is Karma Yoga, gradual method is Karma Kanda. Remember in this section, we are contrasting Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is followed by the intelligent people, but Karma Kanda is followed by the less intelligent. Why less intelligent? Because they are going to take more time to come to the state of transcendence. But Karma Yoga, the process is quicker. So if I want to climb a 100-floor building, it's more intelligent to take the lift than to take the staircase. But if somebody wants to take the staircase, then they will get there. They are going upward. They are in the right direction, but it is going to take them longer time. And Krishna says that those who are following this Karma Kanda, do not disturb them. Because then what will happen if they take premature renunciation, then we will disturb both them and society. So this person here on the screen, he has renounced, he has accepted the renounced order, but his mentality is still the same because he took premature renunciation. Still that detachment has not happened, right? And in his mind, he's still thinking about, he's still attached to wine, women, wealth, and other things. So that's why Krishna says, don't disturb those who are following Karma Kanda. So here is a summary of our contrast. Let's quickly read this. Aditya?
Yeah, what exactly should I read? Like just each column one by one, or like
Yeah, you
starting
no,
from desire to like the one next to that to the one next to that?
from desire you go right personal sense gratification and then right satisfaction.
Okay. And then I go like basically like left to right, left to right, left to right.
Yes.
Okay. Desire, personal sense gratification, satisfaction of Lord Krishna. Convictions, false ego, thinks he is a doer of activities, forgets that all intelligence comes from Krishna. Aware of the awkward position in the material world, feels like a fish out of water. Knowledge of identity, bodily identification, cannot see the thread behind the necklace. Knows that he is a part and parcel of Krishna, sees the thread, knows behind the structure and behind the scene. Not engage body and mind in Krishna's service. Applies the tortoise principle. Consequences. Forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Undisturbed. Sees all bad as Mara Krishna's mercy.
Okay. So let's go to the next verse. Okay, with this we have come to the end of this section. Let's go to section 6. How karma yoga elevates.
मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यस्याध्यात्मचेतसा निराशीर्निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगतज्वरः.
Surrendering all your works unto me.
Your voice is breaking. Varun?
I thought I already read it. Sorry. Okay. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims of proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight.
So here Krishna is revealing the purpose of the Gita. What is the purpose of the Gita? He is just saying offer everything to me, offer everything to Krishna. Just surrender all your works unto me. So Krishna is saying you have to come to the level of Sharanagati. Unless we don't come to the level of Sharanagati, we cannot reach the spiritual realm. So here he is taking Arjuna to a higher understanding. He is saying surrender all your works unto me. So work and devotion is higher than what Krishna has spoken before. Dutiful work and ritualistic religion. Previously, Krishna has told Arjuna, you fight because you're a Kshatriya, it's your duty to fight, right? But higher than that is you fight because I want you to fight. Just because I am saying it, you do it. Work in devotion. Prabhupada has given an analogy and he says that Krishna consciousness is like a military discipline, right? When somebody is serving in the armed forces, if your superior tells you march forward, you just march forward. If he says shoot, you just shoot. You don't ask questions. Why should I march forward? Why should I shoot? Why should I do it now? Why can't I do it later? If he's going to ask those questions, then he's going to be terminated from his services, isn't it? So Krishna consciousness is like military discipline. We just do what Krishna says, and that's it. We don't have to worry about anything else. So let's take this example. When the child is taken care of by the maid, then the maid is doing it out of duty because she's getting a salary at the end of the month. So it's her duty to take care. It's a part of her prescribed duties. Then in the other case, the same child is taken care of by a stepmother. Now the stepmother, because her dharma, she's the dharma patni or she's the wife, and therefore dharma says or religiosity says that she has to take care of the child of her husband, which he had from the first wife. But higher than both this dutiful work and ritualistic religion is when the work is done out of love. When the child is taken care of by his own mother, there the quality of the work is the best, because there, what is the driving force? The driving force is love. So work and devotion is higher than both ritualistic religion and dutiful work.
Ye me matamidam nityam anutiштhanti manavaha shraddhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karmabhihi.
Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunction faithfully without envy become free of the bondage of fruitive actions.
Okay. So what is Krishna saying here? Those who execute their duties according to my injunctions. So those who follow my instructions, Krishna says. And how do they follow it? They follow it faithfully. So they do it faithfully. They have faith and without envy. Then what is the result of that? The result of that is they will be free from karmic reactions. They will be free from the bondage of fruitive activities. So what is the condition? We follow the instructions of the Lord. We do it with faith and we do it without envy. Then we are free from the cycle of karma. But then again, Prabhupada makes a very interesting comment in the pulpit. Let's read.
Aditya? Wait, what? I didn't hear anything. But an ordinary man with it from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully urge the injunctions of the is resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness. He will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness.
Okay, Aditya, I think there is something wrong with your computer because we hear one line and then we don't hear two lines and then we hear the third line. Something, is there a problem with your connection?
Yeah, it keeps my internet connection. I don't know. It keeps saying like your internet connection is unstable, then it kicks me out. Yeah, I think it's my internet connection.
Because we hear like but an ordinary man and then suddenly we hear in the beginning of Krishna consciousness. So we are losing some words in between. Okay, anyway, what Krishna is saying here in the purport is that in the beginning of our spiritual life, in the beginning of our Krishna consciousness, one may not be able to fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord. So Krishna is saying those who follow my instruction with faith and without envy, then he will be able to be free himself from the cycle of bondage. But Prabhupada is saying that in the beginning, it is possible that we are not able to fully discharge the instructions of the Lord. We cannot immediately attain perfection, right? Okay, Krishna said this and I'm going to do it. No, we may not be able to do it. But if we have faith and we are not envious, there is no resentment. If there is faith and there is no resentment, then also we will be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. And one history that perfectly is in tune with Prabhupada says is when the illiterate Brahmin was given the instruction to read the Bhagavad Gita. We have done the story before, right? Please confirm if we have done the story. Okay, so let's do it again. Now, there was this illiterate Brahmin who received an instruction from his spiritual master to read the Bhagavad Gita every day. Now, he is illiterate, right? He is illiterate and he cannot read. Now, this Brahmin, okay, now this Brahmin has is following the instruction with some, he is trying to follow the instruction with faith. He has some faith, therefore he is trying to follow the instruction. At the same time, he is not feeling any animosity or resentment in his heart towards his spiritual master, saying that, why did my spiritual master give me this instruction when he knows fully well that I am illiterate? He is not thinking like that, right? There is no resentment in his heart. So he has faith. There is no resentment. At the same time, he is not able to fully execute that instruction because he is illiterate. He cannot execute that instruction, right? So Prabhupada said, one may not be able to execute the injunction initially, fully. But if he has faith and if he has, there is no envy, there is no resentment, then he will still be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. And that's exactly what happened in the case of the Brahmin, because after some time, Lord Chaitanya, he visited that temple in South India And then he himself certified him that you are someone who has perfectly understood the Bhagavad Gita. So this is a classic example. One may not be able to fully execute initially, but if you have faith and without envy, without resentment, then you will come to the stage of purity. Okay, 32.
येत्वेददभ्यसूयन्तो नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम् सर्वज्ञानविमूढांस्तान् विद्धि नष्टानचेतसः.
But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection.
So in 31, Krishna said, those who follow this instruction, then what happens to them? They are free from the bondage of karmic reactions. And in 32, he's saying, and those who do not follow this, they disregard these teachings, then what happens to them? He says that all their endeavors are ruined, right? Everything that he has done will be lost, and he will remain in the bondage of material existence. Why? Because they are only indulging in sense gratificatory activities. And when they indulge in only sense gratificatory activities, whatever is done is lost, because in the next lifetime, we have to again start from zero materially. Yes. So therefore, everything that he has done, everything will be lost. And there is no hope of perfection for a person who disregards this knowledge, Krishna says.
सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृतेर्ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रहः किं करिष्यति.
Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish?
Yeah, so here Krishna is saying that even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. So we have discussed this, how each of us has a particular nature. Somebody may be intellectually inclined, somebody may be passionate about dancing, somebody may love to paint, right? So everyone has his own nature and everyone follows that nature. What can repression accomplish? So he's saying that we should not try to repress the nature that we have or the nature that somebody else has. We should not oppress the nature, the prakriti. Krishna says prakriti. So we cannot oppress or suppress our nature. In fact, instead we have to dovetail it in Krishna's service. Now that doesn't mean that a drunkard says, okay, by nature I'm a drunkard, I like to drink. So then let us dovetail the act of drinking in Krishna consciousness. So let us offer alcohol or wine or whiskey to the Lord, and then we will enjoy Krishna Prasad. No, we cannot dovetail 6 things. We cannot dovetail Kama, Krodha, Lobh, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride, and envy. These are all sinful activities. This is Vasana. So these are not harmonizable with Dharma. These have to be curbed. These have to be suppressed. What we can dovetail is our Prakriti, is our nature. For example, if you have a slab of marble, we cannot change marble to wood, right? We cannot change that. That is unchangeable. But we can change the shape of the stone by carving it. So we have to recognize what is changeable and what is unchangeable. We cannot change the natures. That we cannot change. But we can change the shape of the stone. Okay. Let's do 34.
इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ.
There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion, because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization.
So there are principles to regulate attachment and aversion, raga and dvesha. How to regulate attachment and aversion? Krishna says that there are some principles, and if we follow those principles, then we can regulate raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. So today is Ekadasi, at least in Chile it is Ekadasi, and some other parts of the world. So let's try to analyze this. Let's say that I don't like quinoa at all. Okay, I have an aversion for quinoa. But today's Ekadasi, there is a feast in the temple, and they have served quinoa as the Ekadasi prasad. It's a part of the menu. So now, because it's Ekadasi, right, I have to eat that quinoa. It is being served in the temple. And that way, once in 15 days at least, I overcome the aversion I have for quinoa. And if I'm very much attached to rice, I love eating rice. I cannot eat food without eating rice. But once in 15 days, there is this principle of Ekadasi. So it is helping me to regulate my attachment for rice because I cannot eat rice on Ekadasi. So like that, there are principles to regulate attachment and aversion. Why we have to regulate them? Because Krishna says they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So how do we know what are these principles? These principles we come to know from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. The principles are written in the Shastra, but to understand Shastra, we need a Guru, right? We need a spiritual master who's going to explain the Shastra to us. We cannot read the Shastra on our own and understand it. We need a Guru to explain it to us. Therefore, here, Krishna is laying the foundation for a very, very important verse that he's going to speak in chapter 4 on the importance of accepting a spiritual master. But we will see it when we go to chapter 4. Again, Prabhupada makes a very, very interesting comment in the pulpit. Let's read this, the one that is in the gray area. Can you read that, Aditya?
Okay. One has to follow these rules and regulations unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulations may also lead one to go astray. As much as there's always the chance to go an accident, even on the royal roads. Although they can be very carefully maintained, no one can guarantee that there will be no danger even on the safest road. The sense enjoyment spirit has been for a very long time, owing to material association. Therefore, in spite of regulated sense enjoyment, there is a chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment, there is always chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must also be avoided by all means. But attachment to Krishna consciousness or acting in the loving service of Krishna detaches one from all kinds of sensory activities. Therefore, no one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense enjoyment is ultimately to become situated in the platform of Krishna consciousness.
So see, Prabhupada is saying that even those rules and regulations we have to follow without being attached to them. We have to be unattached even to those rules and regulations. Why? Because Prabhupada says that there is a chance of an accident even on the royal roads, right? So if somebody is too obsessed, he's too attached to the things that he should not do, the rules and regulations, know this, know that, I don't want to eat this, too attached to the rules and regulations, then he loses the focus on what is it that he should be attached to. There are thousands of things that we have to detach ourselves from, right? So if you're going to be concentrating that I have to detach myself from this, then we are losing the focus on what is the one thing that we have to be attached to. Ultimately, all this detachment is for what? To come to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So that one attachment to Krishna or the one attachment to Krishna consciousness will help us to get detached from all other 1,000 things that we have to be detached from. So we should not be overtly attached, or we should not be attached to even those rules and regulations. We have to be attached to Krishna. That one attachment will help us get detached from all other thousands of things that we have to detach ourselves from. 35.
श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मा स्वनुष्ठिता स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावहः.
It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than others' duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in other duties, for to follow in another's path is dangerous.
So Krishna is saying it's better to do your own prescribed duties, even though you do it wrongly, even if you do it incorrectly. It's better to do that than to perfectly do somebody else's duty. And this is exactly the mistake that Arjuna wanted to do. He is a Kshatriya, right? But he wanted to do the duty of a Brahmana. He wanted to renounce everything and go to the forest and live like a Brahmin or a renunciant or a sannyasi. Yes. And this is that's why Krishna is telling that it's better to do your own prescribed duty, even if you do it faultily, rather than do somebody else's duty. So this is a Varnasrum system. Previously, Varnasrum system was very strictly followed, and every Varna would do the duties pertaining to him, right? They would not do the duty of some other Varna. But in Krishna consciousness, we can transcend all this Varnashram dharma. How? Let's say there is a Janmashtami feast in the temple, and there are devotees who are doing services. So before the guests arrive, somebody has to clean the floor, somebody has to clean the bathrooms. So a devotee may clean the bathroom and sweep the floor. And then after that, he may have a bath change, and then he may give a Bhagavatam class. Right? So when he was cleaning the bathroom and sweeping the floor, he was doing the work of a Shudra. And then when he's giving a Bhagavatam class, he's doing the job of a Brahmana, because a Brahmana is one of the duties of a Brahmana is to teach. So now when he's giving a class, he's playing the role of a Brahmana. Now, there may be another devotee who has arrived late for his services. Let's say the cook, he has arrived late. So now this devotee, because he is the one who's in charge, or he may be the president of the temple, and he can chastise this other devotee, telling him that you have arrived late for your services, and because you have arrived late, the prasadam is going to be served late to the guests. So now he's donning the role of a Kshatriya. He's chastising somebody else. He's scolding somebody else, right? So like that, on the plane of Krishna consciousness, you can go beyond this Varnashram dharma. You can don any Varna and you can do the prescribed duties. On the plane of Krishna consciousness, there is no division, because everything there is transcendental. He is doing everything for the pleasure of the Lord. There it does not matter whether he is doing the pujari services, he is doing the abhishek, or he is cleaning the bathroom. They are both on the transcendental plane. So with this, we come to the end of this section. We'll do the next section in the next class. And with that, in the next class, we will finish this chapter by the mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.